How you doing, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here. It's GearFest 2017. I have a really special guest in studio with me today, Hannah Welton.
Hey!
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's your first time here to Sweetwater, right?
Sure is.
And what do you think of the place?
It's amazing. It's like so beautiful, clean. Everything seems so organized, and it's like organized chaos.
That's
though.
right.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad you put it that way.
It's awesome though. It's so cool. The slide. You guys have a really fun-looking slide over there, and what an awesome facility to be able to kind of have everything at your disposal.
Yeah.
You know,
cool.
I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you. We love drums. I love drums for
Yes.
sure. And so let's talk drums.
Okay, let's do it.
When did you start playing?
I was 7 years old in Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
And the group at that time was called the Fabulous Leopard Percussionists, but now it's the Louisville Leopard Percussionists, ran by Diane Downs. And we learned everything by ear. There was no reading or anything like that. We would just listen to records and learn the parts, harmonies, drums, percussion, marimba, everything.
Right.
And that's kind of how I got my first taste in drums. I was dancing since I was 3, so music and entertaining was already in my family. So it I guess, came naturally and was so much fun.
That's cool. And your pops is here with us.
Sure is.
Hanging out.
Dave.
So, and I started when I was 4.
Yeah.
And I had a very
that's
patient.
Awesome.
And my dad bought me a drum kit when I was 5. My first drum kit when I was 5. So I'm just thinking about this, you know, very patient parents who who let their kids play drums every day.
That young,
so
too,
were
you
you
know,
in your
it's
bedroom
like,
just jamming away and
well,
stuff like that?
I didn't have a drum set, so I would play on anything that made noise.
Right.
So we had these like tin or aluminum covers for our stovetops. And I had drumsticks, and my mom would get mad at me because she'd walk into the kitchen and there would be dents from my drumsticks in those covers. And I'd beat on my little brother and on the floor and pots and pans. Right. And then, you know, one day for Christmas, Santa Claus brought me a drum set finally.
And what'd you get? What was your first kit?
It was a Remo kit. A little, what was it, a 4-piece. And it was just the best ever, black. Okay. Yeah, I still have it, actually.
I have my first drum kit too.
So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's, you know, I've thought about giving it away to somebody or selling it or, you know, whatever. Right. And I don't know. I don't want to part with it. I don't know.
That's cool.
It's sentimental, but we'll see.
And so when you were first starting out, or even after you got playing for a few years, what kind of music were you into? What was drawing you to?
Oh man, playing wise, I mean, rock always, classic rock, southern rock, and. But my dad, he was a trumpet player, or is a trumpet player, and has been his whole life. So I was introduced to a lot of different styles. My brother is a hip-hop artist, and so I listened to rock, country, jazz, blues, hip-hop, just pop radio, and I enjoy just playing and jamming it all. But early on, I would say I definitely focused more on rock and just studied and listened to Bonham and how he played and what his feel was like, and then later when I was in high school and then went to college as a jazz performance major, I did a little more studying of, you know, different genres and different drummers and
getting a technique and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And where did you go to school?
For college, I went to Chicago College of Performing Arts.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and Paul Wertico was the head of the jazz department there. It was in Roosevelt University.
Right.
So, got to study with Paul. I actually started studying with him the last 2 years of high school. And I was trying to decide where I wanted to go to college, if I wanted to go, because like most musicians and performers, everybody wants to go to LA as soon as they turn 18, right? So I wanted to do that, but also thought about Berkeley. And then Paul was like, why don't you consider staying in Chicago and going to CCPA? And I was like, well, you know, we'll see. And auditioned and got scholarships to both Berkeley and CCPA and decided to stay in Chicago. It was close to family. I had a couple working bands in Chicago. All my gear was there. So it was a win-win for everything.
It worked out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
So at college, you started making money, getting out there and gigging?
Yeah.
So what was some of your first gigs you were doing back then?
Oh, man. Well, it was...
A lot of cover stuff, or were you doing original music, too?
Yes, both.
Okay.
But mainly covers. I was in a blues band. Well, we moved to Chicago from Kentucky when I was 12.
Okay.
And I was with my dad and my little brother, and my dad and I both auditioned for this blues band when I was 12, and we both got in. So I was gigging around Chicago in these bars with my dad, and I was 12 years old.
That's cool.
It was so cool. I wouldn't take it back or change anything.
Awesome. Yeah.
You know, you learn so much, and you get accustomed to the lifestyle of being a working musician and the different environments that, you know, you come across. And, you know, I remember seeing a lot of crazy stuff, though, and talking to my dad about it after the gigs. And he'd just be like, well, you know, baby girl, you learn a lot about what not to do.
Sure.
You know, and,
you grow up fast.
So, yeah, you do. You definitely grow up fast. And so that was gigging around Chicago and some bands and playing a lot of more so like rock and blues type stuff. And then later on, I think around 19, I joined this band called Bellevue Suite, and all those guys were actually based out of Milwaukee. So I did a lot of driving back and forth. It was like a couple hours from Chicago to Milwaukee, and we gigged and did a record and had so much fun with those guys, and then got married, and that was at 21, and then I got this very cryptic email that really said nothing but said a lot. It said, hey, Hannah, I work for this very well-known musician, and he was wondering if you wanted to audition for an up-and-coming project. But first, I need to know if you could keep a secret. And so I'm like, what the world is this? I didn't really pay it any mind, but I responded and said, I can definitely keep a secret, but before I commit to anything, I need to know,
what's going on,
what I'm committing to. I'm not just going to say yes.
Right.
So she was like, okay, great. She wrote back. I got this email, and I was at church. Service had just ended, and she said, okay, great. Well, I work for Prince, and he really likes your stuff online, and he was wondering if you could send, a couple videos of you playing to these songs, and we'll get back to you. And I was like, oh, what? I freaked out, and I was like running around in the church and looking for Joshua, my husband, and I showed him, and I was just like, check out this email. I don't know if it's real, but even if it's not, it's really cool. And, and it turned out it was very real.
That's awesome. We were talking about this out in the hallway for a second. There's, I've been playing music for a long time. There's only a few iconic gigs with iconic artists that are out there.
Yeah.
And you got one of those gigs.
I sure
It's amazing how
Yeah.
the world works.
What a blessing.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
So if you don't know, Hannah was in Prince's band, ThirdEyeGirl, for how many years was the gig?
It was coming up on four, basically 4 years.
So that must have just been fantastic.
Yeah, it was the best experience.
Because he's as a musician, if you don't know,
best.
He's like
the best.
he's at another level.
Yeah, he's the best.
He was at another level. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But I've seen him live so many times, and I know John Blackwell, the previous drummer, and just so much energy on stage, and he can do anything.
Man.
It's one of those guys where, to me, he just thinks it and it comes out of his hands or his
You're
mouth.
so right. That's such a great way to put it.
Can you, and we could talk about this all day long, but what was it like?
Oh, it was the best. I mean, I came into this gig, Joshua and I were both 22, and you hear so much about him from people in the industry, and it's a lot of good, but also a lot of weird.
Right.
And so you never know what to expect, and this is I gigged a lot growing up, but this is my first, big gig.
Yeah, you went from local to worldwide.
Yeah, and so I didn't know what to expect, but I was just like, you know what, Hannah, you're a cool person. Just go in there and be yourself, and everything will happen the way it's supposed to. And he was really sweet and never made me feel like, he's Prince and I'm Hannah.
Right.
He was very welcoming and just loving and humble. And
It's nice to hear.
Yeah, he was amazing. But then musically, it's just like when the dude touches an instrument, you just know it's him.
Right.
And it's the funkiest thing you've ever heard. It doesn't matter, drums, bass, guitar, keys, his voice, everything. Yeah. And it was just an incredible learning experience to just sit and watch him and to see how he maneuvered. Even outside of the music, he was very much involved with every other aspect, the sound, the lighting, the production, our clothes, everything. And I learned so much about music, performance, production, sound engineering, studio work, how you want to look, what you want people to say after the show, like what experience do you want people to have? Think about the end before you go out, and then give them what you want them to walk away with.
Right.
He would say stuff like, every show we do, you have to imagine that it's being recorded, because it is. Even though we ask that people don't take their phones out, 9 times out of 10, somebody's doing some recording, and you gotta remember it's gonna be a bootleg. So make it perfect, make it the best that you've ever done, and be prepared for that. And another thing, when it came to mistakes, like when you're feeling a little inspired and you want to switch things up, if you make a mistake, you gotta commit. Don't make it obvious. Don't fall off, and so it's just I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but
as you should.
And it's a lot to try to put into words. It was just an experience that I am so grateful for.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you first got the gig, where was your playing at? Did you feel your playing was where it needed to be, or did you have to woodshed a lot? I mean, as a musician yourself, were you comfortable?
I was comfortable. I thought that I was funky until I jammed with Prince. And then I was like, yeah, I got a lot to learn. And what was amazing about it, though, is that he really took time with me, gave me stuff to listen to, and would come and sit behind the drums and kind of show me what he was looking for and show me how to approach a certain song or a certain groove. And I'm so thankful for how patient he was with my growth and my development at that point, because I was a strong player. I'd been playing since I was 7 and really good with rock. Great, I can swing, play jazz, awesome. But funk, I never really dove into the way that I did with rock and other genres. So I went to funk school when I met Prince.
Yeah, you had the best teacher of all.
Yeah,
wow.
And so I'm grateful to him for that, for his patience and just his willingness to share information. And, the hours that we put in rehearsals, that was the woodshed. That's really all that we had, because we would go into Paisley in the early afternoon and leave at midnight, and it was 10-hour days. And then after we rehearsed, we'd all kick it until 2 a.m. And then the next day would be the same. And so there wasn't a lot of solo practice time, just me trying to figure out grooves and stuff, but we were playing all day, every day, recording rehearsals, listening back, getting reference tracks, and it was boot camp for 4 years. Even when we didn't have shows lined up, we were still every day rehearsing every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so did you get to see the world with Prince? Did you go all over the place?
Yes. We spent a lot of time in Europe.
Okay.
And even more so than in the States, and just got to see so many cool places. And it was really cool to see how people respond overseas to music, because they're so in it. They want the experience. They want to be up close. They don't have their phones out. They appreciate the art and the music. And of course, Prince was a huge celebrity, so everyone knows who he is and appreciates his celebrity and his fame and stuff. But it felt over there like, sure, he's great, he is who he is, but we want to hear what you guys are playing. We want to hear your music. We want to hear what you're creating. They were very much about the art.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of times people get so caught up in the artist and their personal life and, what they ate for breakfast and what kind of shoes they wear, that they completely start to disregard the music or whatever art they're creating, be it basketball or food or music or whatever, and so it was really cool to just see the love that Prince fans really have for him as a person and the respect they have for him, but also the love of his art and what he creates. They really appreciate his mind and his creativity. And so it was awesome to share in that, because I've noticed with the Purple Army, that's what the Prince fans are called. Shout out, Purple Army. They take Prince at his word. So anytime he puts someone out on a pedestal and he's like, you guys got to check this person out. She's awesome. She's this, she's that. They will follow that artist and love and just push the stuff and spread the word just like it's him. And so, you know, being Third Eye Girl, his, you know, newest project, we felt the same love that they gave to Prince. And it was just, it's a family. It's awesome.
So before we get into your gear and all of that aspect of your playing, what was it like being in an all-girl band? Rocking with women on stage who were kicking. I mean, those girls could really play. And so, what was that like?
It was amazing. And I love those girls so much. I mean, they're my sisters.
Did you know them at all before getting this gig? Okay.
No, Ida had already been playing with Prince. I came in 2012. Ida was with him in 2010. Okay. And so she was in NPG. And I came in, and then Prince hit Joshua and I up to find an awesome female guitar player. Right. And we looked on the internet, came across Donna, brought her in, and we immediately clicked. Cool. And all good vibes. We all got along really well. And my whole life, I was like, I don't ever want to be in a girl band because girls are this, girls are that. You know, growing up as a young girl, you know, you go through those phases where girls are mean. And
I have a 19-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
so I know
so I was always the type of girl anyways that was a little more tomboyish or sporty and had a lot of guy friends. I grew up with older brothers and a little brother and enjoyed that energy more so than feminine energy, I guess. Sure. And so I always said, I don't ever want to be in a girl band. And then that happened, and it was the best experience of my life. Traveling with those girls and Prince and my husband, we really became tight, and it was a core unit, and it was always just that small group, my husband, me, the girls, another husband, and Prince. And we just, you know, played ping pong, went to the movies, hung out. And
normal stuff, too.
Yeah, normal stuff. And it was awesome and so empowering to be surrounded by such strong, graceful women who are just the best at what they do. That's killer. Yeah.
And on that same note, I feel as a drummer, there's a lot of really great female players. I guess in the past there just wasn't that many. I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, but now there seems like women are really taking charge from the drum throne. So what do you feel is the state of female drummers these days? I mean, are you feeling sort of the same thing?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like history, you know, it was what it was. Right. You know, women were kept in the back and discouraged from a lot of things, and taking control and being strong and powerful and leaders. And nowadays, just in general, not even just with drums, but just in society, women are really stepping up, and I think people are realizing the polarity that a woman brings to a conversation or an environment. And there's a reason why there's differences in gender, and men have a lot of testosterone and women have a lot of estrogen, and there's a balance that comes when both are in equal playing fields. And so, yeah, I think the state of the music industry, and more specifically the drum industry, it's at a great place, but there's still work to be done, and there's still more spotlight to be shared for women around the globe. But I am very happy about the state of the industry, and that more women are being praised and encouraged rather than discouraged and looked down upon.
Well, just as a drummer and hearing you play, you have a killer pocket.
Thank you.
We had this big jam last night in our pavilion, and I had a lot of people sitting in. Hannah came in and just laid it down. It was great.
Thank you so much.
Let's get into your gear.
Okay.
Because we sell gear here at Sweetwater. It's all about the gear, and you endorse a lot of really great products. So you're a Gretsch endorsee, and Zildjian.
Yep.
And Evans drum heads,
yes.
and Vader sticks.
Yes.
And you play DW pedals and Gibraltar hardware.
That's right. You're good.
Yeah, and then what was it? What was the? You had a case company as well.
Humes and Berg.
Humes and Berg, great case. Chicago Humes and Berg company, great, fantastic cases. So, how do you? I mean, I had a Gretsch drum kit when I was 15. It was my first pro kit.
Yeah.
So I know the love and the sound, the great Gretsch sound. It's really cool, and they're great drums to play. did you search out to be a Gretsch player? Did you play Gretsch before you got the Prince gig? How did that kind of come about?
I did. I was endorsed years before I got the Prince gig.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think I got my Gretsch endorsement around 14 or 15.
Wow, fantastic. Okay,
maybe
great.
a couple years later. Zildjian, I think I was 13 or 14. Vader, same age. I was really young, and these companies, I'm so thankful for them because they saw something and just, kind of went out on the ledge and took me in and supported me from the very beginning. And they didn't push me aside as just some little girl aspiring to play the drums and be a star. They really loved on me and encouraged me, and they were like, whatever you need, we got you. And so I had all of my endorsements years before the Prince gig.
Killer.
And what's really important to me outside of a great product is the people.
Okay.
And anytime there's any sort of business exchange, I want to make sure that I'm doing business with people that I would enjoy sitting down and having a meal with.
Okay.
And every one of my companies from day one have treated me like I was their own. And I really appreciate the family environment that they bring to the table. So outside of the amazing gear, which it all is great, it's the people that really keep me and inspire me to be the best that I can be, because I want to make them happy. And it's a lot of, give and take. It's a good exchange.
Sure. So what's your normal setup, size-wise, drum-wise?
Oh, man. Well, it's changed so much. But right now I've got 8, 10, and 12, or 10 and 12, and then 14, 16. Okay. I've got a 26-inch bass drum.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's, I believe, 22s on each side. Or 20s. I can't remember.
Are you playing those kick drums out there? Or are they so
not currently.
Okay.
Oh, well, they're not out. They're not going to be in the clinic. It's just one kick drum.
Right.
But before the Prince gig, my setup was all the same, except it was just 2 bass drums, a 24, and then a 20. And I would actually play that auxiliary kick, at certain times or in a solo or something like that. That was set up for me to use. And when I got my ThirdEyeGirl kit made, it's a USA custom, I only did the 2 bass drums. And when Prince saw it, he was like, it's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And he said, but can we add a 3rd bass drum? And I was like, well, sure, and it was, the whole ThirdEyeGirl, 3 kicks, and just the symmetry of the look. Sure. And he's like, I want people to be scared of you when they see your drum set. And so we added the 3rd kick, but I usually just use the 1 kick. But there was a gig where my pedals malfunctioned a little bit and came apart on. No, that's not what it was. I kicked a hole in my bass drum. And so I had to use my auxiliary kick. It was still set up at the time. And so I had to play with my left foot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Play with my left foot as the main kick because that's how it was set up. And it was a crazy song. The end of the set, everyone's going crazy and soloing, and I'm playing with my left foot, and it was nerve-wracking in the moment because I was like, you just got to keep going, and he hears everything.
Of course.
So if something is off, he's gonna turn around and give me the get in it. But no, it worked out and it was great. But it was awesome.
I love those moments as a player when stuff hits the fan and you gotta just
gotta improvise
and go. So
figure it out.
Congratulations, you made that happen.
Thank you. Yeah. Whew. Lots of those.
And your what cymbal line? I know Zildjian obviously, but what are you playing mostly with live gigs? A's, bright cymbals? Are you in the dark? Where do you like to go?
I really like the A's. I just like how they sing and how they cut through everything. Right. The Rezos are my favorite. The Rezo series, and then also the hybrids.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm using the Rezos now, and they're just so beautiful. They work for everything. Okay. I know for studio, sometimes it's better just for the mics and the more enclosed situation to have darker cymbals just because they don't sing and ring as much. Right. But I still like to try to use the A's and then maybe tape them and kind of rig them, so that they're not so bright. But yeah, the A's are beautiful.
Cool. That's all, again, great information here. So let's before we close out this interview, what's going on with your career now? I mean, unfortunately, Prince isn't with us anymore. It's been a little over a year. So where's your music going? What are you doing these days?
Yeah, well, for the last year or so, I've just been in mommy mode. I've got a little girl, and thank you. She's just the best ever, and she's going to be 1 in a little over a week.
Awesome.
And so that's really been my focus, is to just, you know, raise her, spend time with her. My husband does music as well, and so we've stayed in create mode, and we've got a lot of really awesome stuff that, you know, we've made, but we just continue to take it a day at a time, and we kind of took that out of Prince's book of life, you know, and I mean, right now I've got clinics lined up, and you know, just kind of working on getting back into it, because I took time off while I was pregnant and had the baby, and so I've just been kind of focusing on continuing to perfect my playing and being ready for what's next. And all the while we're in create mode. I sing as well. I'm also a dancer. So we've got a lot of stuff cooking, and we're excited for, you know, when it's time to just propel out and get this music out there. But yeah, as far as the career goes, continuing to practice, continuing to perfect, create, and just make music all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, thanks so much for coming here.
Thank
We're so
you
happy
so
to have you at GearFest and at Sweetwater.
Thank
Come
you.
back again.
For sure.
Because we have lots of stuff going on all the time here. So I'm sure we'll see each other again.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best with your new baby.
Thank
and
you.
your marriage and your
Thank you so
career.
much.
And have a great clinic today.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much. Thanks for watching, everybody.